Kips Clips!
Alright to YouTube, another one of Kip's Clips. So it's been ages since I've been this excited and nervous about making a clip, man, but that's all good stuff, man, because it's about getting the enthusiasm back and stuff, man. But anyway, long story short, speaking about this last night in Peter's Hangout, Peter brought this up, 70 cameras primed for new state-of-the-art surveillance. Now, long story short, cameras... 10 cameras is getting extended to 70 cameras in the Glasgow city centre, and it's a combination of cameras and software for facial recognition and pattern recognition, monitoring people's bags, luggage, so on and so forth. Now, my best guess, in an easy layman's terms way of explaining it to people, is the kind of software they use for football matches to track people, where you don't have to physically have a human being tracking a person of interest. You can digitally mark them, and then the camera system can track them from shop to shop, build up patterns, and so on and so forth. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is recently I've been down at Tent Town. I keep wanting to call it Tent City. Tent Town, basically the thing that's going on in George Square is the way of a protest against the austerity that's hitting everybody in different forums, but as usual, usually the people with the least voice in society gets hit the hardest because they don't have anybody to stand up for them. So there are people trying to stand up for the homeless. I'm doing it in my own individual way and supporting all the good individuals that are doing good stuff as well. And that's just my stance. So as an individual, I want to talk about my thoughts and feelings on it. I had a cracking chat with somebody down at George Square yesterday. Now, this guy was a councillor or something. He was floating about George Square with his wee file of facts and his real expensive suit, and you can tell with the cut of his jib. So he was either a high-flying businessman or a councillor. The reason I think he's a councillor is we got talking. It was like, blah, 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 I'm an independent journalist and all that bull crap. I even hate saying that, but fuck it, why not? I was telling about what the anonymous group and the other individuals, James, that was involved for the years ago, stick King James into my channel, and you'll see me covering that over a year ago when I first bounced into James and what he was doing at the square. And then I've touched on what Anonymous was doing at the square with the 48-hour things, feeding the homeless, and that's built on to this sort of a protest. It's not a camp, it's not a permanent camp, it's a protest to the best of my abilities to explain what's going on there. Now it's a 24-hour protest against the lack of services against... And now, this is just me as an individual talking, by the way, and I'm no part of anything. This is just the way I see what's going on. It's a 24-hour protest. I don't know, go down and ask. That's the way I would explain it, me personally, but I don't know. That's just what I see going on as an individual. So, speaking to this guy yesterday and had a cracking conversation, right? And basically, right, as I'm saying, I'm standing there, let's say, the perception could be I'm sitting this side of the fence, he's coming down in the suit and stuff. He was taking pictures, that's what got everybody's back up. I just walked over and talked to the guy and asked him what he was taking pictures for, and we got into a cracking conversation, and I think he was taking pictures more because he's scunnered. He's a Glaswegian, you know what I mean? And like this is where I come from as well. I don't demonise anybody from any spectrum. Everybody ends up in where they are for whatever rhyme or reason, and it's like the fascists being... it's like the anti-fascists being fascist against the fascists. I just don't fall into this retarded thought loop of excludes people who are different from me and don't... Oh, he's dressing different, he's in a suit, he's rich, he's automatically a bad guy. I'll go and speak to individuals on an individual basis, get to know their story and try and make up my own mind as to what kind of individual that person is, and try and not let my own biases cloud my judgment on that individual. That's just the way I operate. So I'll walk up and converse with somebody. I'm not I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of what I'm doing. I'm proud of the things I say, what I stand up for, the principles I've got and stuff. I genuinely am. So why would I want to hide in the dark and like I'm? That's not me. I don't need to wear a mask. I don't even need to wear glasses, but I just do that to annoy people. And so spoke to this guy, right? And this is I think, this guy was listening to the debate, the argument, and I wanted my chance, and this is my wee podium here, my channel, my ability to clarify my thoughts and feelings on the thing as an individual, not as part of any group. I didn't organise any of this or anything. I've witnessed it and filmed it and went down and got involved and showed them my support. That's all I've done as an individual and will continue to do as an individual. But when I was speaking to this guy, it was the best debate I've had about this whole situation, right? And I hope I've 10 minutes to do this. Hopefully I can get it in right. Now, without going into too much details, about 8 years ago I found myself in that system, the homeless units, and I came through the other end, managed to get a flat and whatnot after it, man. It was a rocky road, it was hard. There wasn't enough services, and I'm talking about, I witnessed this from the inside. There wasn't enough funding for services at the time. There wasn't enough funding for the homeless services at the time. First problem, all the homeless services are private, charities, corporate, and they're all making shed load of cash. Right? So homeless services should be paid for by the public through the council and put directly on through the council. No middlemen bull crap. No other pipers to get paid along the way, right? First and foremost, what we're witnessing right now is the pullback from services. The centre I went and got help from, the Hamish Allen Centre, has been closed down. That is a tragedy. See if that place wasn't there, feck knows where I would have ended up, man. God knows what I would have done in that minute. That fucking, those bits of desperation, when I fucking didn't know what way was up, man. Found myself at that Hamish Allen Centre and thankfully managed to get a room in a homeless unit. Now, at the moment, because of the lack of services, people who would find themselves in maybe a carbon copy of me fucking 8 years ago is going down to that Hamish Allen Centre right now and finding it closed and no services. And that could be the fork in the road moment, right? So, this just right, so here's 130 odd million, 1.2 million for surveillance software, right? And then it does, sorry, 13 million, call it 14 million, let's round it up. Plus, it's 14 million and it's a public project, so you know it's going to go up to about 33 million, let's say, right? So there's money that could filled in the cracks in the system that's obviously appearing with homeless people now. With homeless people now camping in George Square. Now let's not sugarcoat this, right? When, and I've witnessed this myself, and I was there, hands up, right? Well, I don't even want to go into detail, but people that find themselves homeless and whatnot, a lot of the time find themselves, it can be the Trinity, it can be one of these things, drug, alcohol and mental health problems. It can be all three, it can be two, it can be one, it can be a combination, right? A lot of the times people, so when they are going through the system that exists, the hostels and whatnot, the rooms that are still available, the few rooms, the few services that are still available, you can get banned, thrown out, if you don't, say for instance you stay out too many nights and stuff, and that sounds mental. Why would you stay out if you're homeless? Well, you're homeless and you've not got a home. It doesn't mean that you don't like to go and get mad with it and walk the streets at a night like a lot of these people, but you're in the system, so whoosh, you have to be in at this time, that time. So long story short, a lot of people that aren't good at following the rules, getting thrown out of these things, can't find a room and all that, maybe acting like a bit of a ball bag, you never know. Do you know how when you've given up hope in life and you're maybe not hot rock bottom yet, but you're close? Ah man, and if people haven't been there, well fuck you man, because you should have empathy for people that are there, because it can happen to any single one of you, man. That you can have that one event, you can have a lot of events, you can have a barrage of things that lead up to that moment where, for whatever reason, you just give up hope. And unless, and I don't know what the single answer for the service to offer the single service, the single answer to solve those people's problems is. But what I do know is people need supports, right? You need to try and take profit out of that. So the support should come directly from where the funding is coming from. Right, so cut out the middleman. And it's a win-win situation for everybody. People with empathy and don't want to see the homeless people live on the street don't want to see the homeless people live on the street. The people with no empathy and have lots of money and don't give a shit about homeless people don't want to see homeless people sleeping in George Square because it mucks up their lovely clean city. So it's a win-win situation. Both groups, polar opposite groups, want the homeless people off the street, especially off of George Square. So there's got to be a compromise to be found somewhere that everybody can agree on, right? Now, this is the weird bureaucracy bullcrap that we stay in. There is £13 million worth of funding that's just went into Glasgow. I did cover this 3 years ago, right? 3 years ago. Initially planned for 400 new high-tech ones, right? Here it's here the Daily Record article back from April 2013, right? That was initially what it was. Right, but anyway, the important thing I'm touching on here is the money. So they will say this money's been allocated, so on and so forth. We knew this, this homeless problem, this austerity, these funds getting cut April after April after April, a services getting cut, thrown back, stopped. There was a service I was getting help from, can't even remember the name of it, completely stopped, funding got pulled. So, no matter how they dress it up, there is a lack. The political ideology which is behind austerity is affecting the most vulnerable, and they've probably got the quietest voice out of any demographic in society. Why? Fucking pneumatic drill outside. Why? Because they're vulnerable people, and when you're vulnerable, you feel that everybody's out to get you, and when you're vulnerable, you tend to be in the flight mode rather than the fight mode. And this is applied psychology. They know that. This is part of the nudging techniques. That's why they know that they will get more results and less pushback from going after the vulnerable in society. And this is the cold-hearted callousness of what's happening right now. And there's nobody that will convince me otherwise that that's what's happening. It's like a surgical incision. They've looked at it like a corpse, like a body, known that they've had to take cuts, and they've went after the most vulnerable in society because they can get away way easier. And that's the plain, cold, hard facts of it. And I think the balance in society is completely wrong right now. There's no common sense here, which could have said, right, okay, let's put off turning Glasgow into the spy capital of Britain for a few years until we invest these millions of pounds. And what I've seen happening in George Square, there's no... I could do this. I'm not saying I will, by the way, because it would turn out to be a nightmare. But what I've witnessed over the last weeks and whatnot in George Square, a few people with a few brain cells got together, could easily run a full-time soup kitchen, a mobile soup kitchen in George Square for the homeless people, right? With the proviso that the council, well, you'll get less homeless people fucking hanging about city chambers the more services and help you give the homeless people of Glasgow. So there's the balance restored, because the pendulum is at the wrong place right now. We need to restore the balance. So this is how I would solve it, man. You get the two groups together and you get them to find funding from somewhere, because you know they have the money. It's just ideology. It's ideological austerity that's pulling the funding for the homeless, and that's why I think the visual concept of having homeless people sleeping in George Square, I seen the power of it yesterday when I seen that guy in the suit, the councillor or whoever the guy was, and it was so powerful. So I wanted to ramble my wee piece, man. So alright, thumbs it up, share it on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. I'm running out of time. Leave all your comments, good, bad, ugly and indifferent. I'll read and respond to as many as I can. If you want to get involved, bounce to George Square, look for an honest Anonymous Movement Glasgow, Tent Town as well. And tune into my channel, I'll keep you up to date with the goings on and the touchings base with them that I'll get. Alright, YouTube, thanks for listening, catches!
It's a F.E.A.R, F.E.A.R, it's a F.E.A.R, F.E.A.R, it's F.E.A.R, F.E.A.R, come on. It keeps the cheese and the maize and the rats and the race and those peasants in the days like a bunnies. It's a F.E.A.R.